Welcome again to the Social Theatre. The next talk is by Simon Rumbold. Simon is the director of email marketing solution for @Task, which is a software company that specializes in helping companies deliver successful social media marketing. Simon's company has over 1,500 customers, and some of their customers are RAP, Dentsu, and IPG. And without further ado, I will allow Simon to take you through his presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning. Is the sound on? Perfect. So let me just first of all clarify. It might look like I've got a really bad typo on my name, because my name's not actually Simon, but it is actually Timon. Some people say Timon. My wife doesn't like that too much. It has bad associations. The idea is, though, that today I'm going to tell you a little bit about how to win at the game of marketing. Marketing is complex and difficult, and in marketing departments, which hopefully some of you are, or whether you're working for a digital agency, maybe there's a better way to manage and organize the work that you do. And that's what @Task does. Before I started working in marketing, I had dark hair. I'm only 27. It's gone grey already. It's hard work, and we feel like there's many obstacles that happen, which we hopefully can help you overcome. So how do we actually win at this game of marketing? Let me give you some examples. I've broken it down into sections. So the first objection that comes along, first problem we see, is attack of the work requests. Hundreds of work requests come in every day from all different places. They might come in from Instant Messenger. Maybe they come in from email. In fact, have you ever played the game Asteroids? You know, the little triangle on the screen, you have to shoot the asteroids. It feels sometimes like in marketing, work piles on. And this is called the attack of the work requests. What does it actually look like? Requests from work, or requests for work, happen all the time. And people send you email. Maybe they don't even get the right person. They don't give you the right attachment. We're trying to get work done, but there's too many requests coming in. Also, the first in, first out scenario doesn't really play very well either. It's often first in, favored out. And so, actually, this is my favorite request. I know how to do this. We're going to finish that one first, even though it was the last one that came in. That happens. One of the common things in this scenario is that people end up working more hours than they're supposed to. Certainly more hours than we get paid. And according to the employability study, 73% of people fall into that category, where at the end of the day, you just haven't had time to clear the decks. So you end up working late, you start coming in early the following day, and the same thing ensues where work requests come in. You don't have to answer this survey, but maybe you'd want to think about where your work comes from and how many tools you have to track all the work that you do. So if you have maybe 3 or more, are you getting work from email? Is it Instant Messenger? Is it Excel spreadsheets? How many tools do you have to manage the work that you do? And that's really what I wanted you to kind of think about with this problem. So how do we fix it? Here's the cheat code number 1. Centralize the work requests that come in. Make sure all of the work requests come into a single place, helping you to plan and track and monitor all of the work that is being requested of you guys in a marketing department. So that's the cheat code number 1. The goal is to help you to dominate this area. Is having centralized requests means you can help to then go to the next stage, which is standardizing those requests. If you have a standard form to fill out, if there is an email campaign, you know all of the things that you need to understand to be able to deliver an email campaign. If you have a new banner or brochure or website or content, you know that the items that you need to understand, colors, sizes, charts, etc., standardizing and centralizing those requests. The goal here is so that everybody working in the marketing team together can have visibility of what's going on. People who are requesting work can also see what's going on. If their request is not answered straight away, perhaps they'll know that it's not prioritized. Perhaps they'll know that this isn't falling in line with the corporate directives or the strategy that you've set. So that's how we feel you can dominate at the game with the request overload. Obstacle number 2. I'm going to call this spinning plates mayhem, and hopefully you'll recognize why from this picture. It's all fun and games, and it's all good fun, but when somebody drops a plate, the whole thing comes crashing down. I put in my notes here that sometimes, well, not sometimes, in theory, work is supposed to be sounding like harmonious music until the fire drill sounds. What is a fire drill? It's basically when the most important thing, or should I say, the next most important thing, stops all of the work that you're doing. and we have to go on and do this one most important thing, and we drop what we were doing, and we have to pick up on something else. Getting back to the original to-do list is really awkward. I read a report from Gartner recently that said it takes about 25 minutes for a creative person to get back on track with the thought process that they had about the piece of creative work they were doing when they were interrupted by came in. And so the problem number two is, the obstacle number two is keeping all the plates spinning. What does this do for us? It gives us stress. Stress isn't very good. It doesn't help us be creative. In the team we have at AtTask, we have a number of different creators. We're very content-rich as an organization. We create videos, we create flyers, we create a lot of swag for our sales teams. And it can be stressful if you are trying to do too many things at once. Another report we had was about workers losing productivity. This is a standard report or example from CompPsych, but they said it's about an hour a day. 1/8 of your day is lost due to productivity issues. So how do we fix this problem? Cheat code number 2, standardize. Standardize and automate repeated work. What does that look like? So it looks like being consistent, organizing and having a process. Now, even though, I don't know if I should put a number on this, but it's a high 90%, even though people don't really like Microsoft Project as a process tool, and I understand why, having a process isn't the bad scenario here, but choosing the right tools to deliver that process, that's really the solution that we're looking for. If you can standardize your process, you might want to have templates that you can reuse. I know exactly all of the things that I need to do to be able to deliver an email campaign. Plan those out, map out a process. I know everything I need to do to create a new web banner. I need different people that are involved in that process. We need sign off on that process. Map out those processes, and this will help you to become more consistent. The final point on here, I guess just before the final point, before you win at this process, is aligning work to priorities. Your organization will have a strategy which they've rolled out of the things that they want to deliver. And so it's really important that the work that you're doing, the plans that you have, and the requests for work that come in align with your processes and align with your priorities. All right, let's have a look at obstacle number 3. Hello? Hello? Is anyone out there? Sorry, I know you are there, but this is really obstacle number 3. The fact that we don't really know if anybody is there doing any work. People submit requests, and there's nobody actually available to deliver on those requests. This is about managing people and managing resources. How do we manage the resources right now? We have a resource meeting, and in that resource meeting we all fight over the same people who are doing the same bits of work for us, and the people that shout the loudest seem to get resources. I worked with the Financial Times about a year and a half ago, and they called their resource meeting a bun fight. It literally was, who's got the best resources, who can shout loudest, how do you drag them in soonest, and that's what they called it. We helped them to change that. Who is doing what will they, when will they finish, and what else is left for work? So this is really about managing resources. If you are able to manage your resources effectively, then you won't have the problem that we have here, which is workers say they just don't have enough time to get things done. So managing resources, I guess the key here, if I was to put the cheat code number 3 in place, which is visibility. Provide visibility of all the plans for work that are going on. Provide visibility of the status of all of that work. Provide visibility of all the jobs that everybody in your departments have to do. And this will help you to have a more harmonious scenario, which is where regular and repeatable work can be a staple, which we can do in between all of the one-off activities that come along. I also wanted to point out, let resources be people. So we often standardize resources. Yes, we've got 5 full-time equivalents in design. We've got 7 copywriters. These are people. It's not just about numbers. And so at AtTask, what we try to do is democratize the work that is going on. What do we mean by that? It means that we set a realistic goal, we provide clear direction, we hold people accountable, and then we let them govern themselves. If people know the deadlines that are given to them, and they know the amount of work they have to do, they know the amount of effort it's going to take them, they can tell you when they're going to finish. Yes, of course, there is a plan, but in reality, the plan is only as good as the people delivering the work. So let people be people. Don't just consider them to be resources. Obstacle number 4, reporting work status. This is where everyone ducks when the boss says where are we? This is where you might have a report that actually, no, we don't want to show that report to the boss. We want to show the revised report to the boss. Executives. Reporting status here is really about solving the mystery of who is doing what, when they're going to finish, what else is left, what have we missed, what is the progress of the work that we do. So let me give you a little hint here about what's going to come next. It's about communication. And I wanted to point out that 2 out of 5 is the little metric we have on screen. But the statistic from the PMI report, Project Management Institute report, says over half of failed projects are blamed on ineffective communication. Which basically means that 2 out of 5 people blame communication for being the failure of projects. So how do we communicate effectively? Well, the answer here is to collaborate. Make discussions shared, provide social media to share those discussions in. Give people the ability to collaborate on the work that they do. What does this look like in reality? We need to have statuses that are obvious. And my number 1 point here is define what final means. It doesn't mean final, and final version 3. It doesn't mean that we're done or done, as it says on there. So we're just trying to make a definition of what your statuses are. Have we started? No. Are we in progress? Yes. Have we finished yet? No. I mean, define what these statuses mean, and that will help you in getting your work statuses more defined. The idea here is to make it really easy, make it really simple. If you finish something, it's finished. If it needs waiting on approval, it's waiting on approval. It doesn't mean that it's done until that's happened. Okay. Actually, just one message here. A former boss of mine used to say, give me bad news early. If it's not going to happen, tell me early, and we might be able to do something about it. And that, it's helpful. It's helpful. Don't shy away from status visibility. Don't shy away from things when they're in a bad situation. Things don't always go right. Things are not always harmonious. They don't always go swimmingly well. But as long as we can communicate effectively and collaborate on the progress of how we're getting on, this will help us to get more work done. Okay. Obstacle number 5. And I'm calling it pin the tail on the donkey. So the biggest problem that we have in marketing world is getting somebody to sign and approve the piece of work that's been done. How do we actually get this sign-off happened? Well, hunt for the approver is kind of what I've called it here. If you can define your approvals processes and give clear visibility of the status of your work to the people that need to approve it and give them regular reminders, this will help you to organize the work that goes on. Hopefully, no longer will we be waiting for people to say, yes, that's approved to go live, or yes, that's approved on our website, or yes, that's the right logo and branding and coloring schemes. Unfortunately, the real world is sometimes we don't know who we're waiting on. And that's the obstacle, that's the problem. What does that mean? If you are able to organize your approvals effectively, you will have an increase in finishing projects on budget. What typically happens is we have a big fire drill, again, which we mentioned before, about getting something finished at a certain deadline. And because we were late on approval, or probably because we were late on getting the plan in place, which then need to be signed off, what happens is that we burn too many hours. If we're going to come to an event, or if we've got a print deadline, you can't miss that deadline. But what we see happening is that people spend a lot more hours as the deadlines approach. And so these hours that are burned are effectively costing us to deliver work, whether that's people's time, or maybe you get increased print or event costs because you apply late. So what is the cheat code here for this scenario? Is reducing and streamlining these approvals processes. I mentioned before that process shouldn't be considered a four-letter word, and neither should structure and organizing things. These are really the ideas that we have around how you can get to that finish line early. So if you have timelines, if you can send reminders, if you can give clear visibility to everybody in the process, you will be able to get more work done and be more likely to hit your deadlines that you have coming along. All right. Obstacle number 5, the justification game. Let me show you this next screen. So does this make sense to anyone? Does anyone feel overworked and understaffed? When you go to your boss, does this ever happen? They ask you to prove it. I can't prove it. I don't even have a list of all the work that we're doing in our marketing team. Maybe you do. Maybe it's in Excel. Maybe to try to collaborate different Excel projects and all together with all the resources is complicated. And so it's really hard to then to justify the overworked position that most of us find ourselves in. Let me give you another metric here. In 2012, generally speaking, CMO's budgets increased 3.6%. Good news! Well, it actually wasn't, because the general request was 8% from CMOs. So they didn't even get half of their increase in budget requests. What does that mean? It means that we need to measure. Cheat code number 6. Measure, monitor and analyze work, activity, and cost data. We're talking about information here. Measuring things is not bad. Measuring things gives you ability to see more clearly. And data is good. Data and information is good. But it needs to be accurate. It needs to be timely. And there's some ways that you can get good data. We find that providing good data to executives means that they can make accurate decisions based upon the accurate data you're providing them. If decisions are made on inaccurate data, then there is no point in really making that decision. I also want to include the idea of reporting here about costs and finances. Whether you're working in an agency or whether you're working in a marketing department, it is important to understand whether the work that you're doing is profitable. Does it contribute to the main strategies and goals of your department or company? And how are we actually contributing to it? So provided cost reporting, measure profitability. These are some things that we recognize you should do to provide data to executives so they can make accurate and best decisions. So let me start to wrap up for you. This is a quick snapshot of the 6 cheat codes, 6 things that we can do to help win the game of marketing. And I want to build for you a picture of what we see work is like in the real world. This is an example of some teams of people. You will call your teams different things, but this is an example of them. And what we see is that work requests come at your teams from all different places. And I mentioned this at the beginning. Whether it's email, whether it's instant messenger, whether it's smoke signals. You leave for lunch and someone leaves a post-it note on your desk, you've got more work to do. Fantastic. Well, because we're all sensible, we start to plan and manage the work that we have. We might plan on whiteboards. Maybe we're planning in Excel. Maybe somebody in the business has Microsoft Project and we can put a plan in there. Please don't. It's complicated. But maybe we're starting to plan. Planning is important, of course. But when we start to implement the plans that we have, we need to collaborate with our colleagues. It's not just work that happens in silos. We need to make sure that collaboration happens. And collaboration tools exist on the marketplace. And it's things like email and instant messenger and status meetings. Eek. You ever been in a status meeting where you didn't really feel part of it? Reported my status, my 5 minutes were done, now I've got to listen to everybody else. But there are tools used for collaboration. Of course, most of the time, we are working on an asset, whether that's our website, whether that's email flyers, email banners, email campaigns, whether that is any asset, really. We need to control and manage assets, and the creation of those assets happen in a number of different tools. Of course, those assets need approval and sign-off, and different solutions exist for approvals. Most commonly here, we're chasing email. Email happens to be the approval process tool where you get an email in, it's got approved on it, fantastic, we can go ahead. But there are different tools as well for approvals. And while all of this world of work is happening to get your assets approved and delivered against your plan, we have to report the progress to our executives. Life is busy and life is complex. And what we see as the problem here is that all of the different tools that are used to manage the work that you do don't communicate with each other effectively. And so if you've ever seen any of these problem or symptoms of that world of work on the right-hand side, maybe then this relates to the way that work gets done in your organization. Again, the fire drill is common. Do we have a pointing fingers? It's your fault. It was their fault. It wasn't mine. I sent you the approval. You just didn't get back to me. Sorry. So we're late. Well, there is an answer. The answer is AtTask. This is the company that I represent and work for. Having all of those plans tied to the communication and tying the asset to the communication, the collaboration within your colleagues, also giving you a place where you can centrally report the progress of your work to executives. This is what AtTask does. And I talked about winning the game of marketing. We mentioned 3 of our clients earlier on. These are some of the customers we have that are winning at the game of marketing because of using AtTask. We're really proud of these. It's traditional. We always have to give like a logo spreadsheet. Yay, we look at the logos we won. There are more, of course, as well. But these are the types of organizations we help, both agencies, digital agencies, print agencies, but also marketing departments. It's really a mixture, and it's about a 50-50 split between the two. Let me give you 2 client quotes. Number 1 from Erin Frey. She had had enough of people sending her different types of communication, email, instant messenger, etc. And she said, just give me one place where all of that communication happens that I can link that communication to the work that we're doing. And for them, that is AtTask. It enables them to have one place where they go for all of the information they need about their project work, about their campaign that they're tracking, or campaigns that they're tracking. And they are being successful because of that. Let me tell you about Bill. So he is a traffic manager at ATB Financial. And not only are they able to get more work done by using AtTask because of the efficiency savings that they have, but also they're able to report and track on that additional work. And they're reporting about 5 times more the amount of data by using AtTask. All right, we've come to the end. If you want to hear more, we're at booth D50, and thank you for your time.